So this is technically operating as episode one because I've been speaking about a lot of things that are tied into this topic I have of the new Jim Crow. And I think that when I say new, I might be misleading because I don't feel like it's a new Jim Crow. I feel like it's Jim Crow 2.0. And I'm not sure if we ever left that era or if we just sanitized some things here and there. You know, we had a Voting Rights Act, we had a Civil Rights Act, we had all this stuff, but as we've seen, the past is such a clear fucking bubble when you look at it from the present. That was sort of a smokescreen. And the phrase that keeps coming up that I think I want to not contest, I want to add to is I've heard we're here because we never punished the South, the Confederacy, the way they should have been. And to a certain degree, but I would take it a step further. And some of the conversations online have also had this sentiment, which is, did the South even lose the war? My answer is no. I don't think they lost the physical war. They lost the guns and the ammo and the soldiers. They did lose that. But the ideological, philosophical, cultural war that was also raging at the same time around slavery and identity and all this stuff, that they won. And they didn't win that because they were so great. They won that because the other side was like, all right, we don't like them niggas either, really. We just didn't want to be looked at on the world stage as slavers. But we can treat these motherfuckers like shit all day if that's okay with you, if we can get this money going again. And that is a very oversimplified version of what happened after the Civil War, but please go do your research. Go read some things and tell me if that is not a perfect oversimplification. And where we're at now is merely a next step in that attitude. Let me take you back real quick, because here's a quick history lesson. It's not going to be completely detailed because I'm walking around my living room talking to myself. But the Civil War itself was propaganda, framed in the modern sense of we freed the slaves. That is not what happened at all. The slaves freed themselves. The black folks freed themselves, and the country had to respond. You can go back and look at the southern plantations. The amount of escapes, revolts, these things that were happening was just growing. Of course, right? No one's going to be under that whim together. Think about it. And the second part is, once the war kicked off, right, a lot of the black soldiers were just running out of their plantation towards the north to catch a gun and come back and free their family and fight for themselves. The idea that there was some sort of mass need to free the slaves is bullshit. And I'm a movie head. I love the fact that if you watch the movie Gangs of New York, Martin Scorsese, who rarely shies away from the racism of his own community, showed that around the Civil War, there was the riot in New York in which these northern white men were going around New York City, lynching and stringing up black folk because of the reactions to their draft of the Civil War. Right? That really happened. There's pictures of it in newspapers. So wait a minute, we're going to free the slaves, but we're so pissed. We're going to kill them in the freemen that we're going to kill. Right. So it was never about at least the United States and the Union, all that was not about putting an economic plan back together. Remember, the North wanted to create an economic surplus. Slavery was fucking that up because a lot of countries, especially England, who was a trader in cotton and all this stuff, they didn't give a fuck. Somewhere along the line, they were like, we're just going to kind of not do this anymore. We were taking the high ground. Except for in India and the world. But they did that, right? So the North starts to react. Hey, we're doing manufacturing now, doing industrialization. Y'all are still in this farmland. We need to go quicker. The slaves you got don't work fast enough for the world we're living in. And a bunch of other little economic, and they put that pressure on the South. Well, the South took it like, you're going to take our slaves, which, yeah, we were going to do. It's to make the economy and the political prowess of this country better for whatever reason. And once again, oversimplifying all of this. So anyway, then how South, like, well, you can pry my slave's fucking hand out of my cold, dead arms because I'm never giving up these Negroes. And that became the core issue. And I mean, as much as these want to pretend like it's states' rights, it's the rights to own slaves. And so that's what it was. They shot South Carolina, shot the first shot. We're off and running. Right? But during that whole time, it is what it is. I'm not going to get into the details of the Civil War, but right after, during that Reconstruction era, think about it. Reconstruction had the same effect, a proportionate effect, Obama's election in the modern day. To watch the country, at that time the Republican Party, Black folk, carpetbaggers, white folk, abolitionists coming into this place that is seething with racial tensions and trying to help black people get back on their feet after this hundreds of years of destruction. That was the spark that created Jim Crow, the Ku Klux Klan, the modern racist movements of white supremacy. That's what did it. The idea that black folk were about to be on par with white folk. What happened? We did the same thing Argentina did. Don't get mad at them. They are full of shit, but we did our little blackimento. We are whitening. We started bringing in who? That's when that whole immigrant story starts to happen, right? We're all a country of immigrants. We're a country of immigrants. Happened right after the Civil War. When the Irish, the Jewish, the Italian, even some more German and French and Nordic people started moving in. And America wanted them in. They wanted to see more white European faces because they knew once these very skilled laborers come into the cities that we live in, who's going to hire a goddamn white dude? When you've got a person who was raised, born, and bred to be a carpenter, to be a horse tamer, to do the work that none of you want to do. And they've been doing it for nothing but fucking fists and rape for the last 200 years. They're going to be a perfect workforce for the modern day. And guess who couldn't deal with that shit? White people. And so what happens? They start to put all those black codes and the Jim Crow laws and all these segregation stuff. Hell, all the fucking major laws and practices of racism. Their seeds after Jim Crow. I mean, right after Reconstruction, which is around something like that. Right? And then in that time, what else do you see? The rise of the Ku Klux Klan. This domestic terrorist group that just gets to run amok through the South unchecked, terrorizing everybody. And it even goes away kind of naturally because it's a fucking... People hate it. It kind of goes away. A little bit. Not always. It never goes away for real. But this is when all this happens. Then the daughters of the Confederacy rise up. These white bitches that are out here talking about how to reshape history. This is when we start seeing how the history books in the school book, because they were taking it from a different societal direction, which was women at that time, domestics, hospitality, education. That's where they put all their energy. They started changing textbooks, sitting on school board. The same tactics they do today were invented back then to control narratives, to control outcomes, to control stats, everything. The South learned very quickly, by the way, that a war doesn't have to be won with bullets. Hell, it shouldn't be won. That's not how you really win, because you're going to have to keep bullets to do it. But if you can ally with your enemy, which really wasn't their enemies, they're fucking cousins, to say, hey, I know we're full of shit, but let us just be full of shit and we can all be happy. Because in reality, the North doesn't like black folks. They're like, what if we did shun these black folks? We're not shitting on you. And we're giving you all the what's the problem? And they said, you're right. Let's give these Italians some whiteness. Let's give these Jews some whiteness. Let's give these Irish some whiteness. These Spanish some whiteness. These Portuguese some whiteness. Right? We're going to do that to make it so that everybody here, everybody who comes here, even the American experiment, and that's how it's been. So I know I've talked a lot, but let me keep going forward. So after this, Jim Crow takes 100 years, give or take. We have our most famous civil rights movement. That's that thing, right? Organization, commitment, faith, hope, dedication, political strategy, economic strategy. I mean, it was probably the most ever. And it is not made by three people, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of people were involved in this. Young people, educated young people sometimes at that. They did this social movement. I feel like this is the moment where we lost the plot. As much as the civil rights movement did for America, what we're learning now, and we can look back on the past, is the boomer generation is a selfish generation. I don't care what y'all say, you are. You're an arrogant, selfish, because you were born into a world that taught you to be arrogant and selfish. You're the post-World War II. Post-World War II, America was fucking kicking ass. We ran the fucking world in the 50s, and I don't know if anybody really knows that, but yeah, the entire modern world was shaped by American policy, American imperialism, and American empire. That generation saw things that no one could imagine, right? Unprecedented wealth pouring into the country. This is a group that the government said, if you were in the army, except if you're black, go get a house, dog. Go get an education, get right. Do what you got to do. Gave them money, built highways through black neighborhoods to destroy, but remember, all the progress was intentionally black communities. You want to know about racism in America? Look at the highway system. Follow I-95, I-35, I-20, I-15. All that shit goes straight through what used to be thriving black neighborhoods. Some of them went through some immigrant stuff too. Some Mexicans out in California shit got really fucked over. But the point is, the entire idea of American progress is destroying you. That's the Confederacy. That's America. That's how they won. By the 1950s, policy is dedicated to destroying black communities. And it's not even like it's not even like now it's like an open secret. No, it was completely transparent. They'd say that shit on the fucking radio, or in that time on TV. If you were interviewing, they'd say, yeah, I just want to get rid of the niggas. Duh. And that's when you're like, oh yeah, we get it. So then you have this 1950s, 1960s civil rights movement. Now, for some of us that don't know, there were two more movements culturally, the Black Power movement and the Black Arts movement. They were smaller, but they had culture. This is where you start to see the rise of black entertainment in the mid 70s, early 70s. You see all these things kind of popping up, right? That's the Black movement. The Black Power movement was the Black Panthers and those militants that came kind of right after the tail end of the civil rights movement, led into the kind of modern militant movements that we see today. Anyway, but the big deal was hip hop are going to hate black people. And that's going to hit, and then this is when it pass. But anyway, these are some movements that happened after the war. And I bring those up to say, all of these are cultural movements for the progress of black folk based on what the generation of the time felt had been failed them from the generations before. And we are still in that cycle. I have said, and it's not just black folk, this is a generational conversation being had right now, which is, what the fuck happened in the mid 20th century that now in the early 21st century, the game plan doesn't work. You cannot go to school, get a job, get married, buy a house, have some kids, retire with your wealth. That's never going to happen now. But why? What the fuck happened? And I'll tell you, a whole generation of capitalists happened. A whole generation of people who bought into capitalism happened. And that includes our parents, or in some cases, our grandparents. These motherfuckers, forgive the term, sold the fuck out. The afros went away, the perms came back, and IBM had a nice little VP position for your daddy at 1983. At IBM in 1984. At Xerox. These places started to invite black men, and then wait a minute. And just like America knows, because it's the Confederacy, remember? If the massa offers you a place in the big house, you're going to say no. And so a lot of cats went from the field to the house and got real comfortable. This is when the first token Negroes start popping up in suburbs and shit like that, when we start seeing that on TV. Remember that? When all the conversation about token Negroes were happening? Well, that wasn't a lie. Negroes were moving out to white neighborhoods like they always do, and they were becoming the tokens. Now, you don't believe me? A lot of those people were black, right? Black couples, because they didn't do a lot of intermixing back in the early 80s like we do now. Although there was, but what I'm saying, it wasn't mainstream. And so those token kids were the kids you first saw getting into the interracial relationships that now you see, what is the token black kid in a movie? It's a biracial light-skinned kid because the white folk ain't lying to you. Those are their new black folks. Those are the people they see as black because those are people growing up in their space. Mixed kids that are black. From the 80s to the 90s to today, of black folk immigrating in, importing themselves into white spaces and assimilating to the culture. So now you'll see on all these little youth things, these teen stuff, these streaming shows, if they have a black token character, I guarantee you that character is a mixed race person. Or it's two, because usually those people had multiple kids. I mean, I'm even thinking about the new Scream movie, which makes complete sense to me. I'm like, yeah, those kids would be there. Because it's all about keeping it on the plantation. And I'm not knocking anybody who went out to the suburbs, a little bit I am, and did that, and then, believe, but it's when you believe in the narrative, the capitalism, the whiteness, the safety of whiteness, is when the Confederacy wins, and it's been winning since 1865. Hell, us in Texas should know better. We have a holiday talking about how late they were telling us we won. We should have known they were always fucking with us, right? But here we go. I digress. So now we have this situation where the Klan, the Confederacy is back, like full blown. Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, all that shit you've been hearing about is nothing more than a continuation of those scared, floppy-cocked cucks from the Ku Klux Klan. That was a great alliteration, Patrick. Put that in your mental box. But it's nothing more than a second wave of these cowardly fucking crappy cunts that think that the only way the world can make sense is if the most mediocre white men run it. White women are relegated to sucking dick and making kids. And all you niggas work for me. And I don't mean work, slave. I need you to be like my dog, happy to take this fucking beating. That's what they want. And that's why the immigrant thing is so prevalent. I think a lot of black folk are, it's kind of correct saying, well, this is what they're going to do to us. No. This is what they've always wanted. Never wanted Mexicans and Asians and Arabs and Africans and Caribbeans here. No. They want Europeans. They've said that constantly. Trump explicitly said that. I want from the good countries like Norway and Finland. He called Haiti and most Africa shithole nation. They're not hiding the shit. This is 1880 all over again. They want to import your whiteness. Blanquimento. They want to import the whiteness so they can whitefy the country. And what do you see this gremlin and ghoul of Stephen Miller saying? He can't wait to go on a tirade about how evil and wicked the mere idea of immigration is. As if every nation on earth, and since the history of earth, has not been survived by immigration. Every empire, every kingdom, every nation on earth. But I digress again. So that's the point. The idea of the ICE was the slave catcher. Obviously we know that's big slave, but they're not yet. They have police for that. Remember, we had a whole summer of watching their slave catchers fuck with us, right? And we have a slew of names and hashtags attached to them to remind us. But we already know that. Black folk are so well aware of what white folk are like that it's like, yeah, we're watching it again. Mm-hmm. But the immigrants, remember those people that came in, adopted anti-blackness to be American? They're fucking confused right now, especially those goddamn Cubans. But that's what's happening. This is a simple complexity. It is easy to understand when you can recognize patterns. And the pattern is simple. Black person achieves success of any kind. They could be an author, a doctor. Hell, they could just not be poor. Sometimes they can just appear happy. And that is the trigger for whiteness to become violent, territorial, xenophobic, and more or less fuckboys. And so then that ensues the violence. That is usually lynchings, riots, followed by laws. Make sure you can't do about it again or do it again. So what did we see about a couple years ago? What did we see? A gutting of all of the Voting Rights Act and affirmative action. Symbolic. Really, because you think about it, we all know that affirmative action helps, but it's not about us. It's symbolism. They've spent, 50 years telling us that welfare queens are black women with, 3 baby daddies and shit, when we know it's white women with 3 baby daddies and shit. But it's us. That's us. That's our problem. Welfare. Affirmative action on us, right? You know that helps white women even more than us. But it's all symbolic. So they have to gut all that, right? And then they start going after the major stuff, like was it the Freedom Fund? The Black Woman Investment Fund had to go after that. He's talking about this black doctor. It's just about you having your own that cannot happen. Even if it's the most ridiculous shit ever. I'm a white man on a black doctor site suing them because nobody wanted to get my services. It doesn't matter. As long as they can put it in front of that fuck-ass Supreme Court with that nigger Clarence Thomas on there, they know they have a shot at destroying this in the day, right? And so black folk, I believe, and to a certain degree, some of us get it. We are doing certain things to help us navigate this. Really, we don't have to think. It's all been done before, but some of us are figuring it out, right? But I don't think that as far as generationally, I think the boomers and the older folks are a little too tired. And let me bring it back to you. That civil rights movement to pass down the legacy of organization and leadership is manifesting right now in the simplicity and oversimplification of activism done through, let me say that in layman's terms. Back in the day, them young folk in the civil rights movement were good at organizing, activism, and strategy. And they did that over means, economic means, social means, cultural means, and they had all kind of sectors, and everybody played their role. That was I don't know, and honestly, I really don't know if it was all contrived, but I know that everybody got the game plan. Everybody's on the same fucking page. But by the time we get to the 1990s, the biggest organizer we can think of is a hip hop concert, which at the time actually wasn't that bad. We had Public Enemy and Queen Latifah and all that shit. But think about that. We went from political leaders religious leaders, cultural leaders, celebrities, being the faces and leaders of a movement, to a bunch of rappers telling you probably should vote or they shouldn't have beat Rodney King. Where's the action? Even with the Black Lives Matter movement back in 2020 with George Floyd and Trayvon, with all that starting up, like, I know a lot of the criticism was, what's next? I get it. It's great to be in the streets showing your disdain for everything, but who's in that Oval Office? You see, Martin Luther King and them were sitting next to LBJ. They weren't just typing on a fucking letter and then sending it out to the world and hoping people read it. Like, they were actively involved with the mechanisms that can change as they want. And to be quite fucking frank, during that Black Lives Matter, that was my biggest critique. I'm like, why am I not seeing any of these people in the White House, talking to Congress, making their case in front of state judges, et cetera? Like, it's like, I get it. Like, I'm all about the energy of youth and running, but I did that too. And let me tell you, after a while, after 15 years of stomping your feet and holding a sign, you want to see some fucking shit happen. And that's where I'm at now. It's like, I get it, black folk. It's a lot. But this shit is actually pretty simple to counteract. We've done it before. First off, disconnect from white folk. If nothing else, the idea of how many of our kids have been killed while hanging out with them should be enough, but disconnect. This is 2020 motherfucking 6. What are you doing that you need this white interaction? Why are you still moving into white neighborhoods? Why is that a thing? I don't know, but the time is now. And trust me, expatriation won't help you. Black capitalism won't help you. And sheer political will won't help you. You don't have the numbers for the politics. You don't have the information and knowledge for the finances. And you don't have the government support, the political support for any mass movement. But you are a block. We are a tugboat on the ocean. Is that how I look at it? Them big yachts are the white folks moving around, the Democrats and Republicans, them big yachts moving around. But guess what? If they really want to get out of that fucking harbor, they're going to need a tugboat to push them just a little bit more. That's the black vote. That's the black gaze. That's the black influence. We have that ability as a small community to push this thing just enough that we can get it done. But we have to hold people accountable. We have to use our fucking dollars, because politics in America is a capitalist venture. And we got to make sure we know what we're doing. Like, there should be what was it called? Oh, back in the day, they only did it once. It was like an African-American conference. I don't remember the name of it. Quite literally, it was basically the Project 2025 for black folk. And I'm thinking, we need to get that shit back. There needs to be a conference of blackness. And I love you guys, but I get it. Like, if the organizers are the organizers, I want real organizers. And we're going to say we're going to do that, Mark. That's great. Bring the influencers in. But guess what? You get to promote what these organizers actually want to do. There needs to be a concise effort that goes into, basically, in my head, the 18 or 19 sections of society with a strategy, just like the white folk did to get rid of America when Barack Obama got elected. And I know I've been ranting for a little bit, but it all comes back to head within all the headlines, all the things I've commented on in my hot takes on the socials, everything from Clarence Thomas, who I cannot stand, to, even the Spin That song, right? It's all tied into this history, this place we're at right now, this context that really matters. Because if you know all that shit, like I said, I'm really scared. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't think anybody else knows the shit. Like, I get it. Y'all want to buy, foreign currency and gold, but it's like, motherfucker, like, what's that going to do you when they come with rifles to your house, right? Do you have a community? Are there a few hundred of you that live in the same place that have an economic base? Because that's how we really get through it. We start to internalize our community. Gatekeep, motherfuckers. Like, it makes no sense that y'all keep moving out of black communities. Move back in. Put your dollars into the investments of that. Save the money. That's the simplest shit ever. But it is hard, because here's the thing. I'll speak from a personal place. Dallas is a business-centered town. It's also a town that's always changing. Not that people who from here don't like it, but it is what it is. Like, it's constantly changing. There's new people here all the time. The problem with that, the new people think they got to recreate the wheel. And Dallas is pretty territorial in that, we're like a big, small town. Like, I don't know you. I'm not fucking with you. Who are you? But when the black folk come, they typically move right to where the white folks are. Plano, Frisco, McKinney, North Dallas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? They work for the corporations, et cetera. So you can't really blame them for that. But what they do is they don't ever assume, for some reason, there is some kind of black foundation in the town. I mean, the town is really white. I mean, especially if you're up there in the north, super white. You'll even see people out for the Dallas folks. This will be funny. You'll see people like from California, Chicago, New York, whatever. They move to like Las Colinas, and they're like, "Where's the culture? It's so bland down." It's like, bitch, you don't even live in Dallas. Like, you live in a suburb of a suburb, and now you complain like Dallas is like. But anyway, I digress. So, like Dallas, right? So Dallas has the ability to, in my opinion, has the ability to have one of the most dynamic black communities in the country. But Negroes here don't know how to communicate and don't know how to connect. We have the oldest black chamber here. We have some of the oldest black media outlets here. We've got a lot of history of community, but now a lot of the folks have moved out. A lot of the, folks my age, a little bit and a little older. A lot of newbies don't give a shit, obviously. And now we're under threat from gentrification and stuff like that, just like everywhere else. But it's crazy to me because like Dallas, all it has to do is connect this black business community, and that will not happen. But these Negroes in Dallas are full of shit, and there's some hoe-ass niggas, that's what we say out here, hoe-ass niggas. And they don't understand that. So I hear them talking, I see them talking. I worked at the Dallas Weekly for God knows my whole life. I've heard every fucking lie, lip service, and bullshit excuse for not doing business with black folk you can imagine. And from black people. Let me tell you this. This is another one from my Dallas people. This is a real story to prove my point. A few years ago, I mean like a decade, it was a long time ago, when I was still doing basic sales and stuff like that, there was a guy out in Cedar Hill. He owned a cryo company or something like that. Like, those things. Basically, it catered to athletics and athleticism. Remember, he's in Cedar Hill. Guy's black. Dallas, for people not in Dallas, Cedar Hill is a predominantly black space. It's pretty, well-to-do. It's like middle-class black folk live out there, upper middle-class black folk, etc. He is a black man, right? His business caters to athletes, which predominantly black, right? I am the best at the time, and always have been, the best black media outlet in North Texas. We have track records of, helping people out, doing these partnerships. So I'm in there giving him the spiel, like, this is about to work out because, this is perfect for you. And he listened to the entire thing. My pitch at that time was about 20 minutes. Everything from, what we do, how we do it, how we can help you, and then some stuff. I gave him the whole thing. He's out here like nodding, like, He paused. As I'm done, kind of like, so now what can we do? And he goes and he looks, and I said, I'll never forget this shit. He takes a step back. He does not look at me like I'm not looking at y'all. And he goes, this sounds great, but I don't know if I really want to be, kind of seen as a black business. And then he looked up. And yes, yo mama must be white ass look. But he wasn't. He was a dark-skinned black man. But I was like, honestly, I had my father's voice in my ear. I gave him about 2 sentences of politeness, and I packed my shit up. I was like, I understand. We are available anytime you like. Never heard from that motherfucker again. But the point is, I remember thinking, I told several people that story, and they were like, several elders, excuse me. And they told me, oh, yeah. There's a lot of cats like that out here. And I was like, that can't be true. There cannot be black people who live in black spaces, who have businesses catered to black people who do not want to be seen as a black business. That can't be. And sure enough, it's a lot of them motherfuckers out here. And so as Dallas, the last time I did the update, North Texas, black community, black folk in Dallas circulated about $37 billion in just North Texas, right? And I just wondered, like, how is it possible that the Dallas Weekly, my family business, run now by Jessica Washington, to scrape and scrounge for nickels and dimes from black business owners every fucking year? When the black press / the Dallas Weekly or any is an economic engine for a community. Everybody thinks that their fucking social media is goddamn Deontay Kyle. It's not, nigga. Like, nobody cares. But media outlets that have been around and have established, connections and networks, people can help you get the word out about who you are, do profiles and stories, get your profiles up, visibility. Hell, they do events and things like that. They can have you physically being able to interact with people. To be involved with a media outlet in your community is one of the most important things a business can do. And let me just give you this tidbit, assholes. Marketing dollars are tax deductible. Meaning, if you're a black business spending your dollars with a black-owned business marketing company, you get that shit back at the end of the year. It's not even like you're buying anything. You're investing in your own fucking promotion. But I'm guessing small business owners don't know that in Dallas. Why? Because no one ever seems to know it when I tell it to them. So here's the plan. Here's how this engine works, or used to. Let's say you have $100 a month. You're in business and can't produce $100 a month. You're not in business. Let's just be clear. But let's say you can produce $100 a month. All right. $100 a month to a marketing outlet. Let's just use the Dallas Weekly as an example. Get you, whatever it gets you. It gets you some promotion. It gets you some presence online. It might even get you some connect. Blah, blah. That's $1,200 a year, right? $100 a month, $1,200 a year. At the end of that fiscal year, that's money, not physical, fiscal. At the end of that fiscal year, when you're giving your money to your CPA, if you don't have a CPA, your tax person, Lakeisha and them to do taxes, you should tell them, hey, I want my marketing money back. Now, if you don't believe me, pause this fucking video wherever you are, call the IRS and ask them this. How much money ask them this. What's the percentage I can get on return for my marketing dollars? And they're going to get their, this year it's 98.3, something like that. They're going to tell you, yeah, we do that. The United States does that. So here comes year 2. Well, now since you're able to get that $1,200, I'm going to need that $1,200 up top because you've already got it, right? You got it back. Give me that. You already spent that with me. Now give me $100 extra that extra month. Another $1,200, same down the road. So now you've given me what? $2,400 in marketing dollars? Now, this is a small incremental growth, but let's do the third year. Third year. Now you got $2,400 up top. Let's just keep it. Now you're at 36. You see how this is working? At the end of that fourth year, you're going to start at $4,800 for your marketing budget for the Dallas Weekly. And you can grow and hopefully, now there's other strategies the Dallas Weekly and the other members of the community can do. But if you don't engage, you're not connected, you don't have that kind of network, what the fuck are we doing it for? So now I've got you almost to $5,000 in marketing dollars that you get back, promoting your business to people you probably want to sell to. And you didn't spend a dime. You invested $5,000 with the return of your advertising dollars in marketplace for that. And you can do that forever. You can do that forever. Now, if you were to go to a bank and ask for a loan, wouldn't you want to ask for part of that loan to take into account? You have like 5 years of marketing you want to do. Now, you might say, well, that's a lot of money. Now to tell the bank I'm going to get it back in IRS taxes, circulate that dollar. Anyway, I'm getting upset. My whole point is we're back to Jim Crow. And that's what the Republican Party, the maggots of the MAGA movement, the Heritage Foundation, the white Christian nationalists, all them, that's the goal. The goal, Jim Crow. When they say make America great, there's 3 people talking. Follow me. Let's just use Donald Trump. Donald Trump's great America is pre-civil rights movement. That's what he wants. He wants white men in suits drinking and smoking at the bar. He wants Mad Men. He wants that with women sitting over here being pretty, and they're only coming around when your dick needs to be sucked or you need a meal, right? We're going to talk about how pedophilia and rape is all common in that era too. That's Donald Trump's make America great. That's literally what he wants. He wants to be a dynamic figure in 1950s. But you've got people who are, his backers who want to make America great, but they want to make America great to the 1890s, the robber baron Gilded Age era. These are your tech billionaires. This is your Bezoses and your Musks and your Zuckerberg, etc., right? They are the modern day robber barons. Immense wealth and influence over politics like you leave with no checks in power. Thank God we don't have a JP Morgan in today's world. I mean, we do, but we don't know his name. But the point is, I'm sorry, we do, it's Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, so that's what that's why they back Trump. Because his policies could easily backslide into a place where, think about it, labor laws before that, children like that, what are they doing? AI, robotics. It's like they're trying to get back to almost a slave labor force for maximum profits. That's Gilded Age shit, bro. Then there's your final. I think there's some cabal or some, secret room that, even the most racists have their, most racist. There are these people, and I think these are the people sort of like maybe Peter Thiel, maybe some of the older cats, but these guys want to destroy humanity. They want a system of kingdom where they can say, God ordained me to rule you peons and whatever I want to do to you. There's a contingency of that, which isn't really make America great. That's like destroy humanity and put it up in my image, but it's all in the same group. Because, like I'm saying, the Confederacy recreates itself just over and over again. Like, it's Confederacy, then it's, the Klan is kind of the Confederacy, right? Like, it's just a wing of it. From the Klan, you get, more sanitized version of white nationalists in the modern era, et cetera, et cetera. But remember, the Republican Party, as it switched from the party of Lincoln to the party of Ku Klux Klan, it had coalition. And here's where it kind of it works and it fails at the same time. The white coalition that came up after, like, during and after the 50s, right? The Goldwater era of the 1970s, and even before that, the counter civil rights movement coming out of the South from, like, Bull Connor and all them, the Southern Democrats. All of that is this, right? Because if you think about it, everybody knows this too. The conservative movement, or, I shouldn't even say that. The white supremacist movement of the Conservative Party has never been popular, right? As much as they want to have all the money and the Christianity and they want to be pulpit talking about how they're right, no one ever agrees with them. They're the only ones who like that shit. Now, what they figured out was political power doesn't mean that people like you. It means the people in office do what you say because you either pay them or you've put them there, right? And so that was the scheme right after that. So the 1950s, you start to see, I use Goldwater because it's the benchmark of when the Republican Party, to me, turned into what it is now. If you were because remember, the Republican Party at that time just wanted white men back in power. They were really anti the feminist movement and all the others, all the counterculture movements that they were about. The queer, the women's movement, Black rights movement, all this happening in the late 60s, early 70s. This was terrifying white America. Hell, even the fucking NBA was scared of black people. Remember that? Y'all can see that shit. Don't look that up. I'm not a sports fan. But everything was just terrified that black people were taking over and women were taking over. And oh wait, the gay people are outside. It was crazy. But they began to collect every bigot, every racist, every fucking asshole they can find for the numbers. This was white Christian nationalists, Confederate sympathizers, Klansmen, closeted gays, right? Catholics. But Catholics, oh my God, like, think about that. Southerners were Catholic. Oh my God. They were taking anybody who was anti-black enough, racist enough to step up and say, we just want to get rid of these fucking liberals. And that group, even though they are still a minority, has had tremendous effect in the American political landscape because the American political landscape kind of likes them. Remember that thing I said a long time ago, which was the North didn't really say we won, we're going to punch. They were like, yeah, it's fine. We just didn't want you to be fighting no more. You can be an asshole. Just make us look better. And that was the same thing, right? That was it. They just completely swept through every asshole in America. If you were a bigot of any kind, trust me, the Republican Party was in your face. They're in your face right now. And the thing about it is, you can't hold the tiger's tail for too long. And so that's what I say, okay, we're now in kind of a weird race. Does the country implode or does the party go away? Not go away, but like we get rid of them in some level, either through elections and whatever, but those got to happen because Donald Trump is no longer the key figure of this thing. He is the face, but he could die tomorrow and this thing would still keep going. There wouldn't be a leader of sorts. But think about it. All those MAGA people, they're still there. And they've been there. They've been there. Remember the QAnon shit? Same shit. Like, the crazies are always there, and they're always looking for a leader. But they don't go away. And America is not going to punish the right for its treasonous, corrupt behavior. It's not. And that's what the Democrats right now are scared of. Think about it. The Chuck Schumers and the Hakeem Jeffries and all that, the mainstream Democrats, and this progressive influence. They know that if there's enough progressives, there's enough true leftists to get into office, the Democratic Party is going to be charged with punishing their friends, their colleagues across the aisle. And they don't want that. That's really fucked up. No, that's chaos. The idea that the Democrats and Republicans are actually opposing each other is chaos in the American system. That doesn't happen. Those two aren't enemies. Those aren't, fucking the Montesquieu's and the Capulets. No, them motherfuckers are actually kind of friendly. You know what I mean? They call each other colleagues. And just recently, over the last, maybe 10 years, 5, you have seen a left push against even the left bullshit. It's freaking them out. Think about it. Like, you got candidates winning in districts that's, predominantly blue, of course, but like with excitement. This reminds me of the Bernie Sanders days when I realized, oh shit, Bernie Sanders isn't a Democrat. They treat him like a fucking idiot. Like, this man has all the fucking popularity in the world right now. Anybody smart with it, they said, nah, we're going to give it to Joe. What? The geriatric can't remember his own fucking name, telling the stories from the back in the day with Weibo and P-Pop and all that bullshit? That's what you're doing? This nigga's talking about healthcare and education. And sure enough, everything that was predicted would happen with that election happened. It happened. And because the right and the left are full of shit, the same shit is happening with Donald Trump right now. That motherfucker is incoherent. He is off. He's falling asleep. He doesn't know what to do. He's confused. He says words. He slurs his fucking words. His hands are fucking bruised. Nobody's saying shit. Nigga, Mitch McConnell had a bruise on his lip. It was mainstream news for like 3 days. This motherfucking Trump has literal lesions on his hands. And we're like, whatever, nigga, he's fine. We're just going to believe the doctor that says he's, 187 and in great shape? I don't understand this shit. But here's my maybe it'll work out situation. You know, that tiger that they got on the tail, it's getting nervous. It doesn't like that you're sending soldiers who are usually their cousins and brothers and sons and into a war soon, and probably it's not going anywhere soon. You know, that medicine they use that they for their diabetes and all, that shit got real high too. And all the people are really farming, right? Nope, we're gonna fuck out of them. We're gonna tax them up. Oh shit. We're gonna take away their public schools in rural areas. Okay. Then we're gonna fuck over their workforce by taking the immigrants out and telling them we're not gonna do it, but we're gonna take the bad ones. They knew what they were doing. Took off your workforce. You are eating away at your base. You're eating away at the crazies. Yeah, they're gonna keep going because they're crazy. They're gonna commit to you for another couple years. And they might even go through the next election. But I can tell you got about 6 more months of shit not feeling right. And then piranhas will eat you. Look, we've all seen it. So we've all seen the sort of, what would you say, about 15, 20% of the MAGA people are like waking up like over the last 3 months, mad that they voted for where they voted for. Like, I don't know what happened. What's this thing? Give it another 6. That's another, 20%? That threshold starts hitting 51% of people disgruntled with you that are in your own party. It is going to get very, very dangerous in America because these aren't the lefties. These aren't the people that's going to go get in a frog suit and dance their problems. These are the motherfuckers who believe in the power of the bullet. These are the people who believe in violence as an answer. These are folks who stormed their own capital to destroy their own vice president and turn over their own government. You think they're loyal like that? No. They're stupid. No, let me be fair. They're ignorant. And one of the best forms of combating ignorance, intelligence, education, awareness. And although they are the most hesitant people to learn anything, they live their life, they see what goes on. They are not getting what they were owed. And ain't shit scarier than a white man who sees you as somebody who is taking advantage of him and you think you're better than him. Y'all ain't seen fury. Like an insecure white man with a target. Woo! That's like John Wick in a club, dog. They don't stop. Anyway, I've spoken enough. There's a lot more today, obviously. I'm going to be having some guests talk to me about people who are way more knowledgeable about this than me in the coming days and weeks. I know y'all, I've been saying this and putting on a thing. We're going to be a podcast. Trust me, I thought it was going to be easy too. It has been a little bit of a complication, but we're getting there, right? I got to thank my good friend, Alicia Wilson, for pushing me to do this. But we're going to be getting more long-form conversations going with guests, experts. We'll be in a studio at some point. But I think we need to have more awareness, more conversation, more openness about what we're doing, who we are, what we are, and how to move. Because I think my generation, I'm an older millennial, for those that don't know. We see it, but we're also at that point in our lives where it's like we are just old enough where the activity is too much. We have families, we have jobs like that, but we're just young enough where we can see what needs to happen. And we could probably say, hey, we did this with the Bush era, which is nothing like that. I miss the Bush era. Oh my God, I can't believe that I'm even saying that. Like George W. Bush was poison in my mouth for like 15 years, bro. Maybe like 20, because I remember him as governor. I remember thinking, this motherfucker is the worst. Oh my God, I can't believe that this is American. And then we had, Barack after that. So we were like, oh shit, look, see, we doing good. But man, George W. Bush was the worst fucking thing possibly imagined in 2003. Like there was nobody worse. Now I'm watching this motherfucker dance and push and paint and hang out with Michelle Obama. And I'm like, man, look at our little war criminal over there just living his best life. Man, we miss you, George. Like that was, and the greatest part about that part, I'm sorry, I have to talk about this. The greatest part about the 20th century leading into the 20th was that those guys were smart. Those wicked men were like Cheney and Rumsfeld and like all guys, they were smart, evil people. They made you feel like you didn't know what was going on. It was a conspiracy. Like, how the Halliburton get all over there? Dick Cheney, baby. Oh, shit. Cheney, I forgot. He was like the doctor of everything. Like, he could just make shit happen. Rumsfeld would sit there and lie to you in your face, and you'd be like, I kind of believe him, B. George W. Bush was such a bumbling fool. We were like, he can't be this wicked. He can't be. You got to be smart to be that wicked, to do you got to be smart to do war crimes. We thought. Nah, George Bush ain't doing no damn war crimes. He's a part of the war crimes. And we thought, oh my God, the whole 9/11, Middle East, Afghanistan, like that shit was so bad. And it was. I mean, it was horrible. But goddamn, did it ever feel like we weren't? Well, the country still ran like a machine. I don't know what to say, bro. That's the weirdest shit to ever. Like, damn, now like we've had really bad presidents. Like we've had really bad administrations in this country. I mean, going back. I mean, personally, I hate Woodrow Wilson and Andrew Jackson. Personally, just as a as a history fan, those guys are the worst. I'm putting Trump in that area. I'm putting his whole administration in that category. Andrew Jackson, Woodrow Wilson, Donald Trump. I used to put George Bush like around. I was like, man, George Bush. I don't put him in the same category no more. Like George Bush is in the category with like Nixon now. Like, nigga, you fucked over like the American, faith in system. A war that we shouldn't have been in. That's horrible. I'm like, man, Woodrow Wilson like revitalized the Klan. Like he codified Jim Crow. Like he codified racism. Like. And was a staunch fucking Confederate supporter. Horrible. Right? Andrew Jackson, genocidal, war criminal, human trafficking piece of shit. Horrible. Right? It's like Trump. Anyway. All right. I think I've done enough. Anyway, but I digress. All right, I digress yet again. But we will be having more of these conversations and different topics that, where we are, what we're doing. And then obviously my beautiful brain will be kind of putting it all in context for whoever listens to this, because thank you for watching all this. But just stay tuned. We're going to get more and more refined. You can obviously send me some sponsorship dollars. I would appreciate that anytime. So thank y'all, and welcome to the Unpopular But Right podcast.